That's expensive, 39 yards, but if you look at the back page of the first one.
Yeah, I'm seeing that, 5824. I wonder, the very next one, which takes 13 yards out of it. See that on the 17th? I wonder whether somebody noticed that, or are those two tied together?
Well, on this paperwork here, Jim, they double-sided. Right here. Double-sided. There's 25 loads at 16 yards. 208 a load. 10 loads.
So that'd be $624, right? For 39, right?
208 a load every 2 load. 10 loads is 2,080.
Well, 3 times 208.
Yeah.
624.
But there's
And that's
25 loads.
5,000, so yeah,
That's probably right.
$13 is a truckload, is that right? 16.
I don't know why they got 13 unless a small truck went over and got 2 loads.
Of course.
How many guys do you think are going to be?
I know Brian will be here and Todd will be here.
Do we need more chairs? I think
3 of us. I don't
we
think.
got them all out, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't
wasn't
worry.
sure.
Okay,
Unless you're expecting another.
not that I know of.
You never
Okay.
know.
I think you got more
I
than
have that paperback, Jim.
Oh, yeah, you got it. Sorry, Dave.
This guy here, Jason,
Mhm.
Jeff thinks he should probably get bumped a couple right now.
I've asked to schedule a review, but no one seems to give me a time.
With spring coming in, outfits starting to throw money around, he thinks it might be a good idea.
Yeah,
Keeping.
I agree. It's a whole playing field, the compensation playing field is just like,
How you doing?
I have very exciting news to report. The lights at the bakery under the overhang are off. Yay!
wow,
Yes, I saw that yesterday.
yeah.
I had,
That
this is the
is-
first time I've been down at night, so. How long did that take?
Listen.
All
Not
good
giving
things
up,
come
right?
slow.
Not getting up, sorry?
All good things come slow.
Yeah. Did you get my text earlier today after your phone call?
I
I just
think
said I
said you got,
Yeah.
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 I
did get
It's
that.
not snowing.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, but not today.
Let me see, right? Yeah.
Did you have a short?
Oh, did you get one of these? It looks like they've been put here for us to take
We
one.
can
Do
give it a whirl. The best way to.
you wanna plug it into the computer or like,
Yeah.
do you have an HDMI? We are very old school.
Well, I could join the Zoom meeting and then share my screen.
Perfect, yeah.
Thank you. have it done. For that mostly.
That's when you know that we're completely addicted to Zoom, when somebody who's present has to join the Zoom meeting.
Katie. This was on the table. I think we were supposed to take one.
I already have two.
Oh, good, okay.
Thank you.
All right, you are all set.
He's tough.
How you doing, Brian?
Yeah, well, I already said, oh,
Okay, I didn't know.
yeah.
Doing good, how about you?
Good.
Yeah, they already had it.
Wi-Fi or anything like
Yeah, where's the password?
that? It should be for guests.
I got, yeah, they helpful.
They were.
I'm gonna walk.
Busy, it's been a busy day. Daughter's here with
Oh, yeah.
main man.
Her squeeze.
boyfriend,
Can I
who's-
grab a?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
And with his brother, and so we have a relatively small house, so they've sort of taken, and their dog. They've
Oh.
sort of
So it's
taken
a
over
lot
the
of humans.
space. Yeah, a lot of space being taken.
Are they
up.
cooking?
And yes,
That-
fortunately, said, boyfriend is a very good cook, actually, so
That's
that's
good.
That's
Yeah.
lovely.
That makes a big difference.
It
What
helps
did
a
you guys
lot,
have?
but nonetheless, they're taking up a lot of space.
How long is the visit?
I believe one is peeling off tonight,
She said peeling off.
Yeah.
She's like, bye.
and I don't know when, well, that's part of the issue is that their plans have not been particularly firm, so.
Oh, yeah.
Are you staying, are you not staying? I'd love to have you stay.
I'd like to know.
Oh, for.
You should put a yurt where that pond is, and just like,
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You know,
I would love that.
I don't know.
Camp out, yeah,
like little pond living.
yeah, why not? Yeah. The otters and the
God,
whatever, herons and the-
totally. There's Deb. Hi, Deb. Safe. I believe Kim would like to say something for public comment. I think that Kim would like to say something. Mhm. Hi, how are you? Okay. Where you go? You know what? My mom is renting a place in Old San Juan for an entire month in April.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order.
Yes.
Board
Yes.
can confirm.
Yes.
Recording in progress.
I'll be here with the dogs.
Changes to the agenda. Public comment.
Kim,
Can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry, that mute thing. I was just wondering if somebody on the road crew could come clear the snow at the four corners of Piper and Dale. It's at the corner on the Donny Hart side. I had a near accident on Sunday. I'd like to blame it on visibility and not poor driving of the other party, but I do know the snow is pretty high at that corner, and I don't know if they could see me. But they just turned right into me and into my lane, and it was kind of close.
Pass it along.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Wyndham Regional for Act 181 future land use. You're up.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. Close to you, but for those who haven't met yet, my name is Matt Boxer with the Regional Commission. I do have a short presentation. Attempt to share my screen.
Excuse me, but it's very difficult to hear him.
The heat is on, Deb. As soon as that dies down, it should be much better.
Thank you very
Sorry.
much.
Yeah, is it okay if I
yeah, come on up. Yeah, please come.
I get a little closer. Yeah. So, some of you may have heard about the Act 181 legislation. Act 181 was passed in 2024 by the state legislature. It makes major changes to Vermont's land use and planning regulatory framework. One of the goals is to bring together different aspects. Before the legislation was passed, there were kind of different efforts going on between work that we do at the regional level with Regional Planning Commission. So work that we do at Wyndham Regional in terms of regional future land use mapping, thinking about land use and development and conservation on the regional level and how that applies to the 27 towns in the region. And there was also the state designation program, which Weston has been participating in for the last several years with your designated village center for Weston Village. And then there's also Act 250, which is the statewide land use regulatory and permitting process for projects of a certain size and scale. So those three efforts were kind of happening independent of one another. So One of the goals of Act 181 is to try to create this more interconnected system or framework between those different areas, so that at the state level, regional level, and local level, when we're talking about planning for the future for state, region, and communities, there's just more interconnection, and those different programs are working better with one another to achieve the outcomes that we want. And those are, continuing to encourage growth and development within our centers, downtowns, and village centers, and working towards protecting rural areas outside of those centers and conserving natural resource areas. So, Act 181, it strengthens place-based regulatory recognition and investments guided by regional and municipal actions. So trying to, with that goal of trying to encourage development in centers and protecting rural areas, how do we make sure that at the state and regional level, we're working as best as we can to achieve those goals in terms of policies, regulations, and where money is being allocated. So that's like kind of a broad overview of what was behind Act 181 and some of the goals. And so I'll talk about those three sections separately and how they relate to Weston. So for regional planning, Wyndham Regional has had a regional plan for decades, and we've done future land use planning for many, many years. And so we already have a regional future land use plan in place. Act 181 changed statute, so now statewide, there are these 10 future land use areas that every RPC has to map out consistently. Before Act 181, each of the RPCs did a little differently. We had our own land use districts, and we had different techniques for how we map them out. So now we're all mapping the same districts. When we're through with this process, you would have essentially a statewide future land use map. Connect all those regional land use maps together. So I'll just kind of briefly walk through these. I think about them as kind of three general buckets. The first three are those areas where we're trying to encourage the most growth and development. So those are downtowns or village centers. So those, I think we're all familiar with what those are. I mean, they are mixed use centers where you have most of your civic assets, residential, commercial uses. Weston, that's the village center where we are right now. For larger communities like Brattleboro or Bennington or Rutland, they will have a downtown center. But most of the communities in our region just have village centers. Planned growth areas, these are more found in larger communities. They're denser settlement patterns that are around that core center area. It's where a lot of the housing and employment is outside of a village or downtown center. Village areas are similar to planned growth areas, but kind of at a lower density. They are kind of the natural extension of your core village center. And this is taken from statute, the language up here describing these different areas. So for the village area, it's traditional settlement area, or it can be proposed new settlement areas too. So areas that are maybe just outside of the village that the town has identified as an area that could grow. But again, it's a mix of residential, civic, religion, commercial uses. The idea is it's still generally within walking distance of your village center. So kind of those natural extensions from a village. So those are the three areas where through this process, the state is wanting to encourage the most growth. Then we recognize too that there are areas, and Weston, we haven't identified any of these areas in Weston, but in our region, there are areas where there's growth and development outside of a village or downtown center. So enterprise areas are large employment centers, like industrial parks, large commercial centers, resource-based recreation areas. In our region, these are really our 4 ski resorts: Magic, Stratton, Mount Snow, and Haystack Mountain. But in other parts of the state, they might be based around a different resource, like a major lakeshore or something like that. But these are areas that have recreational facilities, but also have like commercial and residential areas too.
But those first 2, we have no hope, right?
Well, so there's the mapping process. It's a future land use map, so it is looking into the future, but it is also very much based on existing conditions.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing a ski area for that
in
50,000 square foot warehouse in Weston, right?
Right.
Okay.
That's not
Yeah.
likely to happen in our lifetimes in Weston.
Yeah.
And then transition infill areas. These are existing commercial areas that are often along a highway corridor. So you can think of corridor like Route 100 in Dover is a good example of a transition infill area where you have commercial development that's outside of a village center that's developed over time. It's often developed in connection with ski resort development. So the idea is to try to encourage those areas to transition to be more mixed use types of developments that allow for residential uses. But again, we haven't identified any of those areas in Weston. And then the last 3 areas, the statute creates 3 different classifications for rural parts of the state. And after we go through this process statewide, I would say, the vast majority of the state is going to be classified as one of these types of rural areas. So those areas where growth is going to be encouraged are still relatively small geographical areas. This is again what's written in statute for these rural districts. There's rural general, rural agriculture and forestry, and rural conservation. Rural conservation areas where there are identified natural resources. These are also areas that are already under conservation. So Weston, we know, has a large portion of Weston is already conserved through Green Mountain National Forest or through private conservation. So all those areas would fall under rural conservation. Agriculture and forestry, these are larger blocks of land that's either used for farming or is primarily forested, used for forestry activities. And then rural general is generally it's kind of the remaining lands. So at rural general, it's a mix of residential uses. There can be some commercial uses. It still includes productive lands and natural areas. So we are mapping. We're trying to map in larger blocks of land and not mapping one parcel one way, the next parcel the next way, the next parcel the other way. So for Weston, and I know this has been shared with the draft map. So we are mapping the entire region. So it's a regional map, but then we're meeting with towns to review the individual maps for each town. So this is the draft map we prepared for Weston. Everything in dark green is rural conservation. We're showing as rural conservation. The lighter shade of green is rural agriculture and forestry, and rural general is yellow. So you can see most of Weston is classified as some type of rural. On the left-hand side, this is zoomed in on your village area. So this is including, the darker pink is identified as village center, and that's based on the existing village center designation that you have through the state. And then the lighter shaded pink on the outskirts of the village center is that's classified as village area. And we can come back and look at this, but I do want to talk just about the implications of this. So, like I said, we've had a regional plan for a long time. In terms of, there are implications when it comes to Act 250 and state designation, but there aren't any changes when it comes to how our regional plan relates to your local land use planning. So towns still develop their own town plans, they implement their own zoning. This doesn't change your town plan, it doesn't change your local zoning. There is an Act 250 permit in Weston. We also have, Wyndham Regional has standing in that application, just like the town does. So we do look at the policies in our plan, but the land use plan is not, our land use plan is not regulatory in any way. So, but there are changes, there are implications for Act 250. You may have heard about the new tier system.
Tiers, yes.
Yep. So this is, there's a lot going on in Act 81. So trying to keep it all straight is challenging, even for me, who's been thinking about this for the past year and a half. But so for the tier system, there's tier 1, and this is where there's the connection between where we want to see growth and development happen and changes to Act 250. So tier 1, these are the areas that we want to encourage growth. So Act 181 either relaxes Act 250 jurisdiction, or in some areas, Act 250 jurisdiction will go away. So there's tier 1A, and tier 1A areas are exempt from Act 250. In our region, it's going to be primarily Brattleboro and Bellows Falls that would qualify for tier 1A. You need to have municipal water and infrastructure and a number of other things that most of our towns do not have to qualify for 1A. Tier 1B exempts Act 250 for residential projects up to 50 units in size. And there are many more towns that qualify for tier 1B just because the requirements are less. Here, I'll jump to tier 3 and then get back to tier 2. So tier 3 is identified in statute as critical natural resource areas. And the new state land use review board is responsible for mapping tier 3 areas and also developing the rules for tier 3 areas. So right now, or before Act 181, Act 250 was just based on the size of a project. So no matter where the project was located, if you were a certain size, you would need to get an Act 250 permit. With these changes, if an area is mapped as tier 3, you would need to get an Act 250 permit no matter what the size of the project. That being said, the Land Use Review Board, at least in their draft rulemaking, is creating some exemptions. So it's not that every project would require Act 250, but it would kick more projects into Act 250 if you're within tier 3. But it's a separate mapping process from our mapping process. So often, understandably, I meet with towns and we look at rural conservation areas, and there's a assumption that rural conservation is the same as tier 3, but it's not. And the Land Use Review Board is developing the mapping and the rulemaking, and that needs to be completed by September. And then it would go into effect in December. I know right now there are some proposed pieces of legislation to delay that at the state level. So But I would encourage you, and any members of the public that are interested in what tier 3 means and whether it would impact their property. The Land Use Review Board has a lot of great information on their website. They have the draft map on their website, and you can zoom in to see whether your property would be impacted by that.
Isn't that basically like endangered land?
So
or is that too broad?
Well, so in the legislation, there was a number of different things that the Land Use Review Board was asked to look at as potential tier 3 areas, and they've narrowed it down to primary habitat connector areas, headwater areas, and then I think rare and endangered species, like identified rare and endangered species. They looked at a lot of other potential natural resources, and I can't speak for them, but I think part of the rationale was, the state already has requirements for like getting a wetlands permit. If you're doing a project and you're going to impact a wetland, you need to go through a separate process for that. So they decided not to include all wetland areas in tier 3 because there's already a level of review happening for that. So my understanding is they're focusing on areas where there's not already some separate state permitting process in place. But for tier 3, it's still in the process of being developed. So there are opportunities to provide input and public feedback on that. And this is the time to do it when they're developing the rules. And then tier 2, this is also
just to back up.
Yeah.
Every drop of water in Weston starts in Weston, so we're all headwaters.
Well, so that's correct.
I'm not being maybe.
Yeah.
A physicist would say maybe, well, that's a little corner, but basically it's all headwaters. Does that?
So it's not
present any difficulties for us or challenges or?
So it's true that Weston is the headwaters of the West River. It's not all headwater areas. It's and I'm not remembering it, but it's a subset of it that's pretty minor. So I think for what I've been seeing is the largest impact in terms of what falls into tier 3 is the habitat connector areas. Those are along roadways generally. And what I've been seeing for like the rare and endangered species and for those specific headwater areas is it's small little pockets that are more scattered. And so for tier 3 too, it's if you have a property and a portion of it has one of these natural resource areas on it, you can still develop the property. If you're developing the property and you're not anywhere near that tier 3 area, then you wouldn't need an Act 250 permit. It's just if you happen to be developing in the area of the property that has been mapped as tier 3. So, but I would encourage you to look at the draft map that the board has on their website.
Can we get it? Or you're gonna send us or Shauna a copy of this text here?
Yes, I will. I can share this.
Yeah, good.
And I can, in that email, provide you with the link to the LURB website, Land Use Review Board's website. We're also.
So this is Deb. Could I just ask a question? Yes.
Sure.
Okay. So Matt, thank you very much. But I'm a little confused. How does the future land use map relate to the previous map that you showed us, relate to these tiers and responsibilities?
Yeah. So thanks, Deb. That I think should be a good segue for me actually. So our map only relates to tier 1. So the map that we did does not relate to tier 2 or tier 3. And it relates to, I'll zoom into this. So For tier one, so Weston is eligible for tier 1B, both for your village center and village area that we've mapped. It's entirely up to the town if they want to opt in to tier 1B. You have zoning and subdivision bylaws, although the town doesn't have water or wastewater infrastructure, you have what's determined by state data as adequate soils for on-site septic systems in your village area. So so you would be eligible for tier 1B.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry. No.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Just I don't know if you want to wait until the questions into the end.
No, I think there's so much information and it's pretty dense that I think it's good to.
Okay, great. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Tier 1B, it does, I mean, so it does apply to us as a town, but aren't we mostly tier 2?
You're mostly tier 2. So,
but only because like the tier 1B,
Yeah.
that is an exemption for permitting that would be under Act 250, correct? And that's only if there were 10 acres that someone decided to buy and then put 50 houses on.
so it's only, so for tier 1B, so most of Weston will be tier 2. We don't know what will be
Right.
tier 3 yet. There's at least draft mapping. So it's really only village center and village area. The dark pink and light pink, that would be eligible for tier 1B. And it's 50 units on 10 acres or less of land.
Up
And
to 15.
Up to
didn't
50
they say?
units.
So
Yeah.
5 units
So 5 units, right?
counts.
Yeah, it would be exempt. And it's the area, the tier 1B, the eligible tier 1B area is relatively small. And is for the most part already developed. So it's, I wouldn't foresee significant development happening in that area. But one reason to consider tier 1B is it's the town's decision is for if the town is wanting to support residential development and housing in the village center, it does send a message that the town is supportive of trying to bring more housing in by doing that tier 1B exemption.
So it's just the village center, not the village area.
So it would be the village center and the village
And
area.
village area.
Yeah, those two.
So all of that
areas.
beige or whatever that color is that I can't really see. But
Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
pink.
Oh, the
Yeah.
pink. I'm
It
sorry.
would be
Just
the
the
dark
pink.
pink and the
The
light
pink,
pink.
gotcha.
The rest of it is
That's a
rural.
Yeah.
The beige is the rural, okay.
And
Yeah.
so I have another question.
Got it.
How does this all play out between the different tiers when it comes to like the DRB and the planning commission and
Mhm.
zoning and bylaws that are being rewritten?
Yeah. So
Not to make it complicated.
yeah, so this really just relates to the regulation and permitting at the state level.
Okay.
So so everything that's happening at the local level would not change. So so any project within a tier 1B area would still need to follow whatever rules are in place at the local level for zoning and subdivision bylaws. It's just if it qualifies,
For a
it would
larger
be
project.
exempt from
Okay.
Act 250. So
Okay.
it just removes that state level of review and permitting, which can be an additional hurdle or barrier for
But all of our
development.
local stuff still exists.
Yeah, and so it doesn't,
Local
and
zoning.
yeah, all the local zoning still exists. And you don't have to change anything in your local zoning to qualify for this. And it's also a decision, you don't need to make a decision about tier 1B tonight too.
Right.
So
I
it's,
have several
Understood.
questions for you.
Yeah.
Weston is roughly 23,000 acres
yeah,
between the state, federal government,
mhm,
Weston Prairie owns. Add in all the conserved land and stuff.
Yeah.
We're probably 65% conserved.
yeah.
And then if you take in the floods area.
Yeah.
There's not a hell of a lot of room left, but
Yeah.
doesn't anybody learn from other places' mistakes? When you start packing people into like 50-unit hotels or condos and stuff, you end up getting neighborhood problems, people fighting. Not good problems, and so that causes a need for a police force, which a small community can't afford. Doesn't anybody learn from other mistakes that they make in bigger cities where they force people together?
Yeah, and I think that it's important to just keep in mind that, you know, this doesn't change your local zoning. And, this won't, what we're doing, our regional mapping doesn't impact your local zoning, and Weston can continue to develop and update its regulations based on how you want to see your community grow. So, so this would, for the tier 1B exemptions, I mean, it would, to Jim's point, it would exempt, you know, 5-unit project. It's not, you know, it's not just not that I think a 50-unit project's going to come to Weston.
Anything is possible.
Anything's possible. Yeah.
What I'm saying is, we've got so much conserved land already.
Yeah.
And if you take the zoning regulations we already have.
Yeah.
It's pretty near impossible to get anything going in this town. You won't bring any industry into this town.
Yeah.
And they've locked up any natural resources pits such as gravel, they've zoned them such. So
yeah,
I'm not sure why this is even worth discussing.
Yeah.
I have another question. This is because Act 181 is updating Act 250, it then gave you guys a required mandate to come and start doing remapping of the land use, which is why we're doing this. And I had to really try to understand why today in the past couple of days. But also, I'm holding the town plan, which I carry with me everywhere. There is also in the town plan that was adopted through Wyndham Regional Commission, a talking about Weston wanting to diversify the community a little bit and look into options for more affordable housing. The other part of this, I don't know how that's really possible when every single small piece of parcel of land, I don't really know, in the village center in the village area seems to be privately owned and just, you know, you know, and I don't know if this is a question for you to answer. I just think it's more of like a complicated, layered situation that we are in right now. But that doesn't change because it's our option to be able to change our tiers.
So, so for the tiers, so it's the town can opt into tier 1B, but tier 2 and tier 3 that's entirely controlled by the land use review board. So,
and that's not going to come out until 2026 summer.
So tier 3 will be finalized September.
Okay.
And then so anything that's not tier 3 or tier 1 is tier 2. And tier 2 is
Weston.
It's basically, it will be a vast majority of Weston, vast majority of our region, and it'll be just the existing Act 250 requirements. So there's not a change.
Which were broader than the 181 ones that were more specific, right? Or am I wrong? Is it the opposite?
So, so Act 250 is because, and Act 250 has its own, they have their own set of criteria for when a project is proposed. I mean, it's probably similar to what the DRB looks at. It's looking at traffic impact and natural resources, stormwater management, exterior lighting, any number of things. So there is separate criteria in Act 250 that's also looked at. I mean, there's a lot of similarity between what they're doing at the state level and what you're doing at the local level, but not every town has zoning and subdivision bylaws in place. So for towns that don't have zoning, it's really Act 250 is the only thing that's reviewing those projects. So I'll keep going. I have a couple more slides. I just wanted to talk about how Act 21 relates to state designation program. So Act 21 also changes the state designation program. So now we just have two state designated areas, centers and neighborhoods. So for Weston, so all existing village centers become centers. And Act 21 also creates a step process that towns go through for their villages. And with each step, there are additional benefits, just in terms of, I mean, the primary benefit of the Village Center program is tax credits for properties for doing property rehabilitation work. It also allows the town to be eligible or have a better chance of receiving certain state grants. But every existing village center, it becomes an intermediate village. So for Weston, your village center, there's nothing you need to do. You automatically transition into that program. You're automatically in step 2. The program's still run by the Department of Housing and Community Development, and they still manage the incentives. And if there are questions about the program, you still go to Department of Housing and Community Development. And then there's also neighborhoods, which have some similar benefits to center programs or to the center program. How this relates to our map is areas we map as downtown centers and village centers automatically become centers, and areas we map as planned growth or village areas become neighborhoods. So with our proposed map, you would still have your village center, and then you would have, some small neighborhoods around that village center. So the dark pink would be a center under that state program, and the lighter shade of pink, the village area, would be a neighborhood under that program, the state designation program. So that's how these things relate. And for some towns don't have a village center yet, and so through this process, we're mapping those for the first time. Our regional plan now will go to, it's now required to go to the land use review board, the same board that's working on the tier 3 process. The land use review board will need to approve our regional plan. Once it's approved, that automatic state designation goes into effect, and then the Act 250 exemptions automatically go into effect. So land use review board is reviewing our plan and our map before they approve it, because once they approve it, that state designation and Act 250 exemption occurs. So that's why there's that additional level of review. And this kind of is a helpful illustration, which when I send you the slides, it'll be helpful to look at this. This kind of summarizes everything I've been talking about just in one slide. But it shows the regional future land use categories at the top, and then how those relate to state designation and also to Act 250. And you'll see tier 3 is not up here because there's not a connection between tier 3 and the mapping that we're doing. The last thing I wanted to touch on is housing targets, and I think I only have maybe 20 minutes on your agenda, so there's just a lot to cover, so I appreciate the time. For housing targets, this is also recent requirement under the 2023 Home Act. The state has now identified regional housing targets. So the state did a statewide housing needs assessment, and then divided that up between the different regions in the state. Wyndham Regional, as we're doing our regional plan update, we have to take our regional housing target and figure out price, quality, unit, size, or type of those units region-wide, but then we also have to create housing targets for municipalities. Housing targets, they're only goals. These are aspirational numbers. No one is tracking housing units being constructed in Weston, and there's no repercussion if we don't meet these targets. And just going forward, the next time you update your town plan, you'll need to include the housing targets that we've created for Weston. But your town plan is already includes policies and actions to try to support housing. So it's really just putting those numbers in the plan. We developed our housing targets. We looked at existing population, existing number of housing units, just looking at year-round dwellings, because we have a lot of towns, including Weston, that have a large number of seasonal homes. So we just looked at year-round housing units, and then whether or not a town had public water and wastewater to support higher levels of development. So for Weston, housing targets are on the lower half. I would just focus on the 2050 numbers because 2030 is rapidly approaching. So for 2050 for Weston, and it's a range, it's 74 to 144 units. But if you break that down on a yearly basis, that's really 3 to 6 new housing units per year.
Is that full-time or
so
mixture of part-time and full-time?
So that's year round, but no one's tracking it. So it's the challenge is a house could be built tomorrow and owned by a year-round resident for 2 years, and then someone from out of state could buy it, and then in 5 years it could go back to a year-round resident. So sometimes homes stay seasonal long-term, but sometimes there's back and forth between these. It's just total number of housing units, but again, no one's tracking it. The table on the upper half of the screen, those are our regional housing targets. So you can see quite a range between lower and upper. For the upper range, 15,000 units. A lot of housing units.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the numbers are a little bit deceiving there because if I'm somewhere near correct, the average township is somewhere around 45,000 acres, and we're half of that.
Yeah.
So for us to have roughly a 1% of that growth in houses, in reality, we're a full-size town, we'd be looking at a 2% number there.
Yeah, and we did it just using these factors, so looking at population and housing units and infrastructure available. Just, again, because these are just aspirational numbers. We didn't honestly. I didn't want to spend too much time on it. And we have towns like Athens and Brookline, very small too. It's just you could really get into the weeds on it. Yeah.
From this point now.
Yeah. I understand your point. Yeah. All sizes. Towns are different sizes. And just to give you a sense of, so our timeline, this is the last slide I have. So we were doing phase 1. We were just working on mapping last fall. We're meeting with towns to review the future land use maps. That'll be happening into the spring, and then we're going to have a draft completed by spring, summer. We have to submit a draft plan to the land use review board for comments. And then once we get comments back from them, submit our plan in the fall. We're required to complete it by December 31st of this year. So it's a deadline in statute. So in meeting with towns, let me just go back to this slide. So, I welcome any feedback that you have this evening. I know it's a lot of information to cover, so you can also follow up with me on feedback. I would focus on the village center, village area, and focus on whether the town is interested in tier 1B. The rural land use classifications, again, they don't have any impact. They don't even impact the Act 250 jurisdiction. And it would, our regional plan will be used in the same way that it has been used. So it's really just a policy framework.
That will then be referred to by you and all the other boards like Vermont Housing and Finance Agency and the 4, 5.
Sorry, just in when our plan is reviewed by those agencies.
No. So like when this plan, the state housing wide like map,
okay,
that is going to be used as a reference, correct?
Yeah. So so areas that we've mapped as those areas that are most suitable for growth, those are the areas that will have the strongest impact in terms of investments from the state.
So when you say investments from the state, are those like grants or like they're gonna build a assembly plant like the Priory or what's going on?
No, it's more grants and I think it's still kind of being determined, but for certain infrastructure grants that might be priority given to areas that are mapped as like a village center, for example. There's like a Route 100 improvement project, maybe that would prioritized village center area. But the town, so also the town should consider tier 1B question. The town, you're not voting on approving this map, and we want to work with the town to get feedback on the map, but it's not something you're voting on.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
We still got a lot more to do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This
Thank
is
you,
an
man.
incredible amount of information.
Yeah, I'll send these slides to great. Yeah. So thanks for your time.
Appreciate it.
I was just texting Kim being like, how do we turn off the thermostat? I'm dying.
Yeah, I can't, yeah, I'm breathing.
It's in her office. Okay, fire department. So
On the other side, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Thanks, got it.
I mean, they're, I don't know, so just.
Open the window.
I'm a bad. Earlier before you got here.
okay, you guys are up. Fire department.
What would you like to discuss?
We got a sheet here for fire apparatus insurance. Summary course.
Insurance for the apparatus.
As far as replacement costs.
Saw Sean the CEO earlier.
Yeah. I discussed that.
There was a bunch of them. Yeah, I got one. Yeah, do you mind handing those out back? Over there.
Oh, over here?
Designed by
This is, my sense is this is sort of close enough, right? I mean, to make the decision. Cause we're basically, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
We're placing a bet here. Yeah. And, it's $120,000 over 10 years, extra expense. So I'm asking myself, would it be smarter for us to be putting $10,000 a year or $12,000 a year into a reserve fund to buy new equipment and say, we're betting that you're not going to drive any of the pumper tankers off of a cliff or, so part of my question is, I have no idea. I'm in here at Las Vegas and I'm trying to figure out the odds here. How many pumper tankers have been destroyed in accidents in Vermont in the last 10 years? This is my guess.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you, every so often you see something on the news where something very undesirable has happened. But one thing that I spoke to Shauna about the other day was the numbers that she had received from the insurance company. I believe it was the insurance company.
Yeah, and I switched them. If you look at the second page, they're all what you asked.
Okay. Originally, okay, they have been adapted because originally they said that the pumper was listed at like 500,000 replacement cost. And it's more like the 1.1 million that's on the sheet. So those have all have been correctly adapted.
I'm not following on this chart, Brian. What is this agreed value cost? Sorry, ADP contribution.
It's what is that? So what you get
if with the insurance?
Yeah, that's what they pay you.
8,000.
If it's destroyed.
Oh no, that's
No.
how much we
No,
pay.
that's how much
Per month.
it averages out
Wasn't that
between the
the
three.
agreed value? Cost new?
So that's what they would pay us with our current insurance versus if we got this other insurance and upgraded it to Brent to get full replacement. Is that the idea?
Or is this a agreed value cost? Is this a combination of all three? What it would be covered for all three of the vehicles,
Yeah.
and then that's it broken down.
Sorry, what was it?
So it's
Agreed value cost,
Yes.
and the new price would be for that one truck, the 2008 cover truck, per month would be $8,377.
Oh, I see. That's what we're paying. I got you.
That's not what we're paying, that's what we would
This
be
is,
paying.
would be paying. I got you.
Right.
This is bringing us to the 12. Got it. Okay, sorry. This is
What
just
we pay
breaking down
right
to
now
12.
is 1,100.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. Right, it's 1103 right now for each truck.
And what is the life of a pumper tanker?
Depends on,
I understand it depends. Give me a rough, is it 25 years? Is it 10 years?
We had been on, I believe it was a 20 or 25 year
Replacement?
replacement.
if I remember right, Brian, after 20 years, you're supposed to get tested once a year for the pumping capability. And if they meet the pumping capability, they get a certificate for another year.
That's quite possible on that, but I think for the department, I think we had tried to rotate vehicles out, like, it was either new one every 20 or 25
Yeah,
years.
somewhere in that
It
area.
might have even been 30 years if we can. I mean, there again, it all depends on,
A lot of factors, shape,
Yeah.
condition.
availability of replacement parts. If you know, if a truck gets to be 30 years old and they don't make a lot of replacement parts, well, if something breaks down, you're SOL.
The other thing too is you could, well, as we're finding out with the town truck, you could place an order today and it'd be 2 years before you see it.
With fire apparatus right now, because of the monopoly of a few large groups, which KME has been swallowed up by. Right now, I know Lynn Hall has a truck coming this April from Pierce. They ordered it 4 years ago.
Result of PE consolidating all of that, it's the creation of this artificial demand, but a truck ordered today or a year ago that was $600,000-$700,000 is now 1.1 million.
Yeah.
They just keep scaling up. So I think that's part of the concern in terms of replacement value from our side is looking at this escalation of cost and making sure that we're not left high and dry with current market values, prices on replacement.
Do you guys have any idea what the depreciated value of those 3 units is?
I don't
Not
know.
exactly, no.
Also, did
I mean,
Denny's,
that's something we'd have to have
I imagine if
an
you,
insurance adjuster come in and look at. I would.
Well,
assume.
the insurance company can tell you, don't they? Because they must have a depreciated value, because they're making a quote on it, right? So they're gonna pay you something.
Yeah,
and there's brokers out there
So you
that
could
buy
ask
and
them.
sell equipment.
yeah.
They've gotta have some inventory price list.
Yeah.
Get you in the ballpark.
The other difficult thing is that probably well over 90% of the fire equipment that's out is all custom built. You know, it's not like going to your average Ford or Chevrolet dealer and seeing what they have on the lot.
But again, I'd be really interested to know what the depreciated value, in other words, if we stick with, let's find out.
I thought those were the numbers we started with that you have provided, Sean.
Yeah, they were.
That's what the insurance company thinks they cost.
What they're worth, yeah.
did you say that after 20 years, a pumper taker needs to be certified every year? Is that what you said?
That's back when I was involved, things have changed since then and they're always changing the rules.
So this one in
I wouldn't
2000,
bank on
okay, so this one from
To
2004.
go through annual inspections and testing, to make sure things are up to snuff.
Yeah,
It's also a diminishing returns as they get older, they require more and more maintenance, they get more expensive to maintain. We had a pretty good rash of repairs this past year. It was a pretty good bite out of our budget, a bit of a spike in terms of kind of an average annualized cost. We were north of $15,000 this year just on truck maintenance.
yeah.
So that was nearly double what we normally spend on truck maintenance. And that I'm not saying it's gonna just jump to that level every year, but I think we'll see a gradual increase in that trend over time as these trucks start to age out as well. It's pretty characteristic of them.
but this, if we decide to do this 15,523 per year, it would only matter if the whole thing was totaled. doesn't go towards like maintenance, you know, it doesn't like.
Oh, no, there's no.
Yeah, it's
maintenance.
just, yeah,
Right,
there's,
no.
there's nothing like, it's just
No.
if it's totaled and,
This would
you know,
just
so
go
just
to
feed it,
replacement, yeah.
okay.
And so what, if you, you know, drove over a, culvert and it collapsed and you tore the rear end out of the thing, that they would, you'd file a claim, right? It's not total, but you would file a claim.
Right.
It's not like you're uninsured.
Well, that's what I was wondering, is this a separate policy, or is there still a regular, you need a regular insurance policy on top of this?
Right,
So are they gonna pay you full replacement value for the rear end that, you know, that you left back in that culvert?
Or is it just if it's completely totaled?
It's a question we don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we have to have two policies. You
Is
have
this
to-
comprehensive or is this just
Right,
a,
that's the
just
word I was
a
looking for.
replacement?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks, kind of looks like, there's
Yeah, we
some
got some
research
homework to do.
yeah, we have
Yeah.
some research
Yeah.
to
be
do.
done, so.
We'll be the first.
And these are
ones
really good questions,
We
you know.
don't fully
and-
understand the insurance scheme
Yeah,
between the town and.
Good luck if you do.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
I'm
why
sorry,
don't some
wait,
more
wait.
research?
I'm sorry, you don't understand the insurance between the town and the fire department?
Sean and I, we've been going back and forth looking at, the town has an umbrella $2 million policy. I think we have a much better idea now than we did even a couple of months ago. She had sent over, you know, all the policies
Uh-huh.
and some of the additional riders and whatnot.
no
So-
worries.
But it's been a bit of a mystery as to what's insured in our building, what's insured on our apparatus. You know, so up until very recently, we had a very murky picture of what coverages we did and did not have. And coming out of the flood, I don't think we saw really anything aside from the FEMA money, which is, you know, why I was asking, when did some of these policies become effective? Because we could have availed ourselves at least of the 25,000, you know, additional content rider that was there. And we had no knowledge that that existed at the time, because we could have used it, quite frankly. So, I think it's good, whatever the outcome of this decision, that we get a better understanding of, you know, what is and what isn't covered and how than we've had in the past. It'll help all of us make a much better informed decision.
Absolutely, and I think you're getting all of these questions from us because $12,200 annually is a lot.
But Jim, I think Jim framed it correctly in that, you know, if we haven't wrecked that truck in what, 10 years, 12 years? Are we gonna wreck it in the next 12 years? Cause that's $120,000 in the town's pocket.
Right, right. And I mean, you know, it would amount to,
Just don't let Dave.
you know, self-insuring. And you don't have to file any claims or anything. You just got the money, and, you know, the insurance company, they're not quoting you rates, so they're gonna break even. You know, so
They're making money.
if
Legal pyramid schemes.
if we, you know, just bank the delta, or, you know, we might need some liability cover. I just don't know, but in general, self-insuring, if you can afford it, is a good thing.
Well, that, I think that comes down to the town then. Does the town feel that, okay, if something happened and
Exactly.
that engine one was totaled tomorrow,
Yep.
is the town
Are we
capable
prepared to eat it?
coming out
Yeah.
with that 1.1 to replace that truck?
Yeah.
Well, they get.
Oh, yeah, 4 years, because you can't get delivery on it, right?
I was gonna say, like,
The money
how
morning
long would it
forecast
take?
for that thought.
With your luck, they'd say we'll have it there next week.
Yeah. Oh, we just had an order canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got all the things that you want. Yeah.
Right.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so I guess when more information is available, we can revisit.
Sounds good. We'll do some gathering on our side.
Yeah.
The other insurance question, and I'm sorry I didn't get it to you in writing, Sean.
No, that's totally fine. It's
So
just
much-
for me, I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know why I didn't ask that
You're-
question. It didn't stick.
You're
And
tracking so many things, it's not fair for you to remember.
I
something
had sent
like
an
that.
email to Vicky. I just haven't heard.
Okay.
She might,
I just-
usually she's very quick, but
Yeah, so the question, the topic is, there was an option for some additional collision insurance for volunteers responding in private vehicles. I think you indicated it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $400. And there were certain criteria, like we had to be licensed.
Per car
No,
or
I think it was per.
for the
unit.
whole thing
Yeah.
per year?
So, car had to be registered, we had to be licensed, we have to be insured on our own. And then this would go on top of that as some additional coverage in the event that, we
Probably that we have to have our lights on,
Phil's Jeep gets flattened by a tanker getting to the scene, and there'd be some additional help there to repay. So,
You'd be surprised, people responding, first responders, that there are a number of fatalities that are associated with that every year at the National Firemen's honoring ceremony. So it's like it's not something you hear of, but it is something that happens. And keep in mind, Paul, that on the most precarious weather conditions,
Sure.
it's something to take into account.
Yeah, and we don't know what the deductibles are on that or anything.
I do.
more homework.
Tons of homework.
All right.
Mhm.
And I think the last thing we had on the list was accounting and bookkeeping. Is that correct?
Mhm.
You have anything to say?
Yeah, so as I came back last time and acknowledged the deficit in the reports, I've been doing accounting for 35 years. I know what it takes. I know what I'm doing. I reconcile. We were paying an accountant $300 a month to reconcile, which takes me about 2 minutes to do. We don't need an accountant for that. What we need is what has actually started happening, a focus on what our priorities are, what our needs are, what we have, and how do we move forward? How do we raise money and what do we use it for? And I think we're all in on making this a much more communicative process, that we're all in this together. And we want to provide the service to the community. And that's what we're working toward. So I'm confident that I can handle the accounting roles. When you ask for reports now, all my numbers are correct. And I'm trying to make the reports far more concise so that it's really the basics: building maintenance, truck maintenance, equipment maintenance. And I think that will make a big difference all the way around. So I'm confident that I will meet whatever needs you have.
My only comment, I agree with everything you're saying there, Mitch. My only comment is I think at the end of the year, when it comes time to do filings and things we have to submit to the government, it's still beneficial to have a shield by something presented by, Dewey Cheatham in-house CPA. So that if there's any kind of problem or risk of penalty, we've got some liability insurance in front of us with that firm providing the cover for us. So we may look at, an annual tax preparer or some other type of year-end accountant.
some
you know,
sort.
audit.
And it's also
Yeah.
good
Which is something we had done on a regular basis
Yeah.
anyway.
And it's also good just to have other eyes.
Mhm.
And I have no problem.
Checks and balances.
My reports every month details exactly everything that was spent, as well as all the invoices that I'm paying. So there's no question as to, do I cheat them and how? You can see I'm paying them.
My wife's firm was Bowditch and Dewey, and their nickname was Dewey Cheatham in-house.
Yeah, right. Well, that communication is very helpful, and that's really what we're looking for, so, great.
And again, we're all in this together.
Yeah, absolutely.
We want to service the community, and we know you need us to service the community. And, there's some really dedicated people. I mean, I'm nothing compared to guys that stand out in the cold, and so.
I don't know, Mitch, I'd say what you're doing is just as
We
important.
all bring our skills.
That's right.
We all bring our skills.
I have a question. How is the search going? Or the exploring of finding some kind of investment firm or sort of like handling of,
We
getting.
actually met with someone earlier today
Great.
from Merrill Lynch.
Conversation with Rhonda Lathrop today.
Great,
That's
awesome.
I think conservatively, we still have to go through our trustees and of course authorize all this, but we have about 6 funds. I think there's 3 that we can consolidate that would give us nearly $400,000. And she's got a package that she'll send to us that we'll review, but conservatively, I think we could nearly double our returns on the
That's
savings.
great.
So
That's awesome.
6-7%, I think
That's great.
pretty good. So
Yeah.
Good.
that's in the works as we speak.
All good news.
Good.
All right.
No question. Thanks.
Okay, well, we'll see you again shortly.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're all-
Thank you.
You know where to find us.
911, right?
That's the number. It's one way. Not like how fast you get there.
We have,
Careful, Jim, we don't wanna wreck the truck on the way.
No, you don't.
Drive real slow.
We don't have 1.1 right now.
rich standards.
Have a great night.
Tonight.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Too.
Do we have, is there something to sign here or?
We do, but I think that we should, at
There's
least,
a lot if you haven't read it.
I
I
haven't.
tried to.
know,
I have to be honest.
It's like reading.
I've read
There was
a
so much.
little, it's dense.
So did you create this overview,
I
Shauna?
try to,
You did,
yes,
thank
I
you,
did.
no, thank you, thank you.
what I was gonna say
It's
is, I
very
think we
basic.
ought to have some input from the road foreman on it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because there's a lot of
Really
things
thank
that they're saying you've got to do, you've got to
over,
meet,
yeah.
and as you know, well, money, but also sometimes somebody sitting behind a desk in Montpelier is gonna say, well, we do this, this, and this, and it's not humanly possible.
Right, right. No, I wrote down the same thing. I said, where's the road foreman on this?
So,
And Shauna, what's the time frame on this? When do we have to have adopted these if we're going to adopt them or whatever?
That is a wonderful question. I don't know. I don't know that they,
Has Jeff seen these, do you know?
he has all the information and I invited him tonight. I just don't.
Okay,
I don't know that they have like a specific dead or date, but I will find that out
Okay.
through all the.
Is this the same similar packet that we got a couple of weeks ago that had the grade? No, that was a different project. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a specific.
so you're either looking at, probably the 24th of March to review it again, because usually the first meeting at the town meeting is pretty well taken up with appointments and
Mhm.
other
okay,
things,
I'm sure.
so. If it,
So put it on for the 24th.
yeah,
I think we ought to find out what the deadline is
Yeah.
for it and yeah. Tentatively put it for the 24th, that's.
all right, you got a delinquent tax package, the first meeting of the month, anybody got any questions on it?
Sorry, that is the last.
I don't think there's much in there that
Looks
we
pretty
can,
similar to the last we saw,
Yeah.
doesn't it? I mean, I feel like I didn't pull out the other one to compare it, but some of the big ones are still the big ones, right? So I guess we have,
The bottom of the.
can we assume that things that are on here still from 2023, there's, I guess, just one,
there'll
right?
be a year there someplace, Fran.
Yep, yeah, there's a summary at the end, right? Okay, so
But
can we
there's,
assume that that is, what are, like, when do we go to litigation on that sort of thing, or when do we?
it's the same. It's,
Well, basically, we review it and if the tax collector comes in and says, I'm having a problem with X, Y, Z or whatever, we discuss it and decide whether she needs legal help or avenue on it. But right now, there's a couple we're gonna eat some money on because of their FEMA buyouts and
And they're on the sheet, okay.
Yeah,
And then there's 3 or 4 that are tied up in the states, which we can't do
Yeah, I
anything
remember
about.
saying
Which is
that.
the one that you're talking about.
The one is in state, okay, thanks.
And should be going to probate.
Which is that one?
That would
The
be,
number being-
second from the bottom.
2023.
I think.
Oh,
This
You
one?
know,
Second
that-
from the
I
bottom
believe
and
it's
then
got- Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
second grouping, the last one on the second grouping.
Oh, yeah, both of those.
Both of those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Got
the
it,
same
okay.
thing.
Okay, that answers pretty much the
Yeah.
question I had.
Yeah. So I move that we say that we've looked this over and thank you very much.
That's-
Is that
Is that a
mistake?
motion?
Yeah.
Is that a mistake that's tied
No.
up?
It's being worked on.
Okay.
And
Well, I'll second that non-motion.
okay,
What happened? There was a motion. Sorry.
That would, just to
You're
say, I don't think we need a
you're
motion.
seconding that
We need-
motion?
We made a motion to say we read it. I think we
And so
read it.
moved.
Yeah, right, exactly.
okay, number 9 is you only
The special town meeting,
Yeah,
not to look at the minutes, but just to see the outcome of it, yeah?
Yeah, this is great to have the stuff grouped
review
like
of
this.
town meeting. So I do have a very limited timeline. Very like,
Can I just say that I thought that meeting was terrific?
yeah,
Yeah.
I was really
too.
pleased that there were that many people there. I was pleased that and so many people spoke up.
Yeah, people, they heard each
had-
other.
Yeah, they listened to each other. It was
Yeah.
respectful. I thought, I thought that came out very well. So I'm glad that we did that and
It
I'm
was
glad we
really
made the decision.
encouraging.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It made me
It
feel
was the right
like
decision.
we're
by
not
all means.
reviewing the minutes, we're just
made me
reviewing
feel good about
the
us.
meeting
oh,
together. Like what would happen, and then there's this little timeline.
okay, well, we've got to there was talk previous to this special town meeting of having I think it was building design committee.
Design Build Committee,
Yeah, it's in here.
the actual grant approval, I don't think this is exactly right, but the actual grant, or will be, the town will have accepted it and we will be able to start spending grant money probably in September of this summer. So there's a ton of time for us to go through things. There's the environmental review, but also an archaeological review, historical review, all kinds of stuff going on. And, you know, this is all happening. Alyssa's working on this stuff. And until that happens, there's not a lot for us to do except to make sure that the stuff that we need to do, like, you know, signing forms or sending a certain email, get done. And Kim is on that and I'm on it, and, you know.
So Alyssa is the one that's moving ahead with the environmental review and such?
Well,
and paperwork.
Stone Engineering is going to do the environmental review.
Right, but I mean, she's moving it forward.
Yes, exactly.
Wait a minute.
Wyndham
Whoa.
Regional.
Wait a minute. We've still got to decide what we're gonna do about that. From what I've read, we've got to put it up to bid.
That's being worked on now, and I don't have, there's not a clear answer as far as I can tell. Maybe
Yeah.
it does and maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, the email is.
Okay, but
relatively clear.
you're asking, you made the statement that Stone Engineering was gonna do the environmental review.
As the grant has been written, that they're gonna do it, but we have to figure out whether we're gonna put this.
Even
out
the
to bid.
environmental review out to bid.
Exactly.
Maybe
Okay,
all-
good.
yeah.
That's
The whole
what you
thing.
want.
I did
Yeah.
see that email. The email was so convoluted, that response. I
Yeah.
actually, my head was spinning. I read
Yeah,
it
yeah,
twice.
and
That's why I
And-
didn't
and
write anything, I just. forwarded it.
everybody's,
Yeah.
Because I just didn't. I
you know,
was like,
that's one of those things. I
Legalese.
can't fix it. We've gotten an opinion from,
Yeah.
Merrill Bent's office. We've gotten an opinion from VLCT. Devin is going back and, you know, they're seeing what can be done, and as far as I can tell, there's nothing we can do. There's gonna either be a path, will be a path through this maze, one way or the other, and I'm just not sure what that path is.
So we're really waiting for a final from the lawyers.
Yeah.
One of your questions, Jim, you said that it would be a shame to go with another engineering outfit because a new one would have to redo everything. I do believe that the committee that hired Stone Engineering owns all their research, so they would be able to ask for it.
Share that.
And all that material should be brought forward.
You know,
That'd be great.
if that's what it comes down to, then, and if, you know, obviously, if we can get somebody to come in and do as good a job for less money, I'm not opposed to that in any way.
All right, the other thing we've got to decide is, where's the money coming?
We don't have to decide that right away.
I think we've got to.
Well, there's no requirement that we make that decision.
I
That's
thought
what
we
I
had
hear.
to promise them that we had a firm letter of commitment
Not.
by
that-
sometime in March.
March
Yeah,
16th, I
I
believe.
don't think so.
No?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
And I've asked Alyssa specifically for the wording,
Mhm.
and I said my preferred wording was that we would either we would commit the $670,000 either from town reserves or from a tax exempt bond. And she said, sit tight on that, we don't have to do anything. So again, I'm a little confused, but there's no urgency on her part. So that's what I'm going with. And I gotta say, borrowing money, 15-year money at 3%, sounds like a winner to me. And they're selling tax exempt bonds, and that's just a great deal because they can.
Versus the 4.5%.
Yeah, they're, you know, the interest rate is a tax exempt interest rate. So when you buy tax exempt bonds, you don't make treasury rates, you make a lower rate. And the people who buy those have, you know, they're in the top tax bracket, so that has a lot of meaning to them, so.
I'm asking this question only because Tim Goodwin raised it years ago when they were thinking about doing a municipal sewer, they were gonna have to bond for it. And at that time, he said the bookkeeping system we had in Weston had to be changed to whatever it was. I don't remember exactly. To qualify for tax exempt bonds. And since then, the bookkeeping system has been changed again. So if you're looking at tax exempt bonds, I suggest somebody ask a question, do some research.
Yep, I can do that. Yeah, I've got the guy's name at the Vermont Bond Bank.
I'm just
Yeah, no,
saying,
yeah.
That's a good question.
We were using QuickBooks at that time. And that wasn't really a municipal fund accounting system, so I will see the auditor and ask him as well.
like I say, I'm only asking a question because he brought it up.
Yeah, good.
I think that's a great question to ask.
Yes.
Kim, you know, now that I think of it, I think it might be better for you to ask because you know a heck of a lot more about, you know, our accounting system and you've talked to him before, so.
Right.
So I'm gonna cross out the little asterisk on the, in my notes and put Kim under it, right?
That's right. How about that?
Okay,
That's a good
fantastic.
one.
When this, billboard committee gets put together, I believe it should be fairly represented from the people in the village and the people outside the village. Because if you have just the ones in the village design it and stuff, there will be the feeling that, oh, well, we're paying for designing their backyards. So I think you gotta have equal input from outside the village limits.
Um,
I'm not sure what you mean by inside and outside the village, meaning,
So like where I live,
well,
Okay, where I live?
mean,
yeah, and where you live, yeah. 'Cause
as
we're not in the
opposed to
village.
people who are in that pink area that we were
Yeah.
looking
Right,
at the
yeah.
map of. Okay, I see. All right. Because those are the people, sorry, the inside the village people are the ones that have a vested interest. The little school, for example, the library, the Weston Community Association. So, because those are the people who were flooded. So we look at those people, but you're suggesting that also we should look at people who are just going to be paying the taxes and not.
Paying the bill.
Okay, that's fine. That makes,
That
yeah.
makes sense.
Fair.
yeah, there's that, and, you know, there's sort of 8 entities, 8 or 9 or 10. If you know, the little school and the homeowners, the theater company, historical society, the Ladies of the Green, library, yeah, theater. And I'm, part of me wants to keep the number fairly small, and, you know, I wonder how many people it would take to represent the rest of the town. So all that group are taxpayers as well. So I don't know, but let's
Yeah, I don't know
talk
if we can
more
go
about it.
equal numbers, if you're suggesting equal numbers of outside and inside, because then you're gonna end up with 16, 20 people, right?
Yeah, I think it's something we should keep in mind, because
Yeah.
you know, how many people need to represent the theater company? How many people need to
Well,
represent?
I'm talking about one
Yeah, I
for
would
each
think.
one of those entities.
It's still, it's a lot of
One
entities.
person with a alternate, so if they're out of town, they, you know, there's an alternate who will show up who's sort of in the loop.
But some of those people could do double duty too,
That's right.
represent more than one group.
What do you think about asking that gentleman, I can't remember his name, Shauna, the engineer?
It's on the list.
Great.
It's on my list.
Yeah, he's on my
Linda
list.
Jeff Lennox.
Linda
Thank you,
turned down
yeah,
during
I
the
just,
meeting, and she said he needs to be on.
yeah,
I said,
I thought he would be great.
Well, let's, you know, this is something that we don't have to nail down right now.
But I think everybody should maybe keep a running list
Yeah,
of what we think
yeah.
might be the right thing, and then we
Right.
can just all come together with a list. I mean,
Right.
I started because I have no memory.
So anything more to review on the special town meeting?
So I am not going to be here, you know, for the other town meeting, but I think there was discussion, that there's gonna be an update on, maybe, is this the kind of information that you would be?
Yeah.
updating?
Yeah, the details on the schedule, on the.
Right. I think
You know,
that's important.
timeline for formation of the committee are, you
That's
know,
great.
our general design, thoughts on it, without, I mean, you know, I can't say that we're gonna do something that we're not sure we're gonna do, but just
Right, we shouldn't get
give
into
people,
detail.
because a lot of people have said, well, okay, we've accepted the grant now, right?
Now what?
When does work start?
Yeah, when does the work start?
Yeah.
And that's not the situation.
Yeah, so that would be great, to
Yeah,
just
that's-
like a rough timeline, maybe, I don't know, not even this detailed,
Yeah.
probably, right?
But, and the other thing, you know, this is just, this is a bit of a digression.
is, I think we need to, we the select board for the town, we need to figure out a better way of keeping people abreast of what's going on. And, you know, there a lot of people that I've talked to on this have said, well, we ought to be able to have, you know, presence on a Facebook page. There's apparently a Weston Facebook page. I don't know
It's called the Western Community
anything
Hub.
about that.
It's called the Weston Community Hub. I'm
Yeah.
not exactly sure who's in charge of it.
I don't either, but it's been suggested. And the others, you know, maybe do newsletters or, you know, just post things or I just don't know. And should we do it when we've got something to say, or should we try to do it quarterly, or I don't know, but those are all questions that I'm, you know, sort of running around in my brain.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think we need to, it was clear to me from the special town meeting that we need to do a better job of keeping people abreast. The other thing is, you know, we've had all these special meetings and, you know, not very many people show up, so.
I mean, how much,
we've got that thing.
how much time and effort and money can you do educating the public? Like you say, we advertise meetings, they don't show up, but you got this going out there every week, every meeting, and you know, they can watch this and find out what's going on. That was the big selling point of this, so people could be attentive.
The February 14th meeting, you mean?
Yeah, any,
Yeah,
The regular select board
Yeah,
meetings.
you're talking about the taping and all that, right?
Yeah.
And GNAT.
right. But that was the big selling point of going with GNAT.
Right.
And I've asked Shauna to,
By law, to tape video of the meeting.
now it is, but at the time, it wasn't. And I've asked Shauna to look into Okemo Valley TV because town report I got from Plymouth, they're over there and they're about half the cost of GNAT.
I'm curious if the outreach that they have, the difference between GNAT and them. So that's like another question. Also, I don't know if this is, I was going to bring it up during old and new business, but I think this is a segue off of what Jim just said. I'm working on an outline for the website, which would essentially,
town website.
the town website, which would basically be a forum for updates that we would be able to do, and it would have, each committee would have their own page and their own thing that would explain what they do, who's on the, and it wouldn't just be like a bunch of names listed with not really much context. So I've started working on this outline, and I think that we should have a separate part of this outline that I'm working on be a part of this grant forum that can be maybe updated within the website, you know, as information comes out. But I know that we are going through a compliance audit next year, and we have to have our website up to date and compliant, which it is not right now for that. So that's why I'm working on that. So that is just another jump on of that.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if it would be old or new
We're
business. So
compliant as it is, as people can listen to the meeting because they
Right.
can go and click and hear it. They can read it. We just don't have anything that says, I mean, we're compliant. It's just not easy. It's
Yeah.
not,
it's not user
we're
friendly.
limited to the program that, you know,
That we have.
Squarespace. And I'm
The
not
current
a
town
web
page.
designer by any means,
Yeah.
like, if you wanna move forward with something like that, we will have to hire someone.
So
Yeah,
I-
yeah.
Way beyond.
So I
my-
spoke with a resident, and they were very interested. It was Marissa Bolognese, and
Yeah.
she's very, she knows how to do website design. She's really involved, and it would just be someone that we could maybe bounce some questions off of before we went and made a full choice on
Yeah.
hiring a designer.
I think that's a really good point. Denny, I think you made a good point, how much money you were gonna spend on this. I think there needs to be but it's also, Jim, important that people know what's going on, so we need to find a balance
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
accessible information, accessibility for people, and how much we're spending on that
Right.
accessibility. You know, a newsletter to every member of the town is gonna cost us,
$1,000.
$1,000
Unless we
every
email it
time.
out. If we have a full email. list.
Well, we don't have a full email.
But that's why it
Yes.
would be
I mean,
good
we
to
have
put it on
some.
just like
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
that one forum.
Right, so we
But
just need
those
to
are all
find a
details.
balance.
Yeah.
that we need to,
Yep.
yeah.
Exactly.
Great.
Kim, I started looking at the minutes for the special town meeting and got only to the second page, so I will get some comments to you. I had a couple of corrections too.
Same for me.
That's fine. And Brian had given me a bunch, so I'll get those all incorporated. To be
Brian's
expected.
more timely than the rest of us. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you,
Wait till we get to
Brian.
The next one, I haven't touched it. Next time. I get too sure that I-
Alright, so are we reviewing the minutes of the February 10th meeting?
So this I haven't looked at yet.
Shauna, I would like to congratulate you on the correct use of the word whom. Well done, bottom of the first page.
Thank you very much.
And you spelled her name wrong again. Only
I
joking.
did not.
I'm only joking. Every single time.
Look, I was like,
I,
"You kidding me?
I was waiting for Linda to be like, and he spelled my name wrong again 5 times.
No.
I was like, oh my.
That's so funny.
I move we approve the minutes of the last
I'll
select
second.
board meeting.
My heart is beating.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And special little thing on meeting minutes. I organized them in the folder and I dumped a boatload of copy on some of them. So I'm going through and reprinting.
Oh,
So
God.
at one of the meetings, I will need a bunch of signatures on that.
Okay.
That was, I didn't drop it.
So we have, table number 4.
Wow. Is there more copies of that again?
Oh, here,
Oh, okay, great.
I'm gonna move approval of payroll check warrant report number 4 in the amount of $12,877.12.
I second.
Questions? Discussion?
Aye.
Rest it is.
Aye.
Aye.
The rest of you.
And just to keep the ball rolling, I'm gonna move approval of accounts payable check warrant report number 4 in the amount of $30,225.44.
I second.
Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, we've got some questions on the check warrant report, current fiscal year invoices for fund, general fund. About. Is that right?
Some questions?
What
on
is that? Is there
What's
some-
It's the
that?
last
Is that?
page.
Yeah, it had that 39 yards of screen sand.
No, it's
that-
okay.
That's okay?
That's okay.
Okay. So then I'll move approval of,
We just did that.
no, this is,
Oops.
no, this is a different one.
It's another one.
So those-
This is check warrant report number 4 for the 2/9 to 2/22.
That's what we got here, Jim.
What's
We've
this?
already-
What's
That's a
this?
copy you get. Your select board.
Oh, I don't think, I think these are
The
different.
general fund is circle.
It's got next to where the signature page.
What was the
So the
previous
22,000
one?
is
There are
part of it?
3 signature pages.
I'm confused here.
So
I am
there's
confused.
check
Oh,
report,
but I see what you're saying, this one's.
Yeah, 'cause we got
22,173.
173.47.
And the general fund.
This is 12,877.12.
Kim,
It was somewhere
we
around
doing?
$30,000.
Yeah, we just signed that one. We've got the 12,800 one, we've got the 30,200 one, and then there's another one that is 22,173
For current FY invoices for fund.
for fund, general fund.
Well, that's just the breakdown of
That's part of
what's
the
being
breakdown.
charged to the general fund, and then there should be one for highway. So there's
oh, okay.
the primary,
So
Oh,
the
yeah,
one,
90, oh, you're right, the numbers are on the main ones, yeah. The MVP
There's
is
a-
there and all that, okay.
okay, so the 30,000 is the only one, okay,
Yeah.
so we're, okay.
I did have the same question.
You look through there on the double-sided sheet,
The numbers.
yardage is on that as a mistake there with, where it says 39 yards.
And
Yeah,
That's a mistake. That's not the correct number. You gotta go to the second sheet.
they gave us one invoice for 39, and then they gave us a credit memo for 13.
and that give us 26.
Right.
No, you gotta add that portion.
are we?
Oh,
are
wrong
we okay
question.
on
Never
this?
mind.
Okay, we're
Maybe we
good,
should stop.
yeah.
Old and new business.
I would just confirm what I mentioned at before the meeting started, that I spoke with Natalie Boston again regarding the lighting at the bakery and the concern of the neighbor. And those have now been, the lights on the building itself have been turned off. The pole lights are still on, but those are fairly dim,
Yeah,
so I
that's
would
okay.
Little
think that,
gas.
That's great.
Yeah.
so I would think that the neighbor should be
Satisfied.
satisfied.
Did
Thank you.
she share
With the
date
screening.
opening at all? Did that come up or no?
Come up, I stopped by the office and she saw me go into the office. There was nobody there. She ran across the street to say to me, no, I know, I'm taking care of it. I'm taking care of it. We're talking about it right now. Okay, great,
That's
good.
great.
Thank you.
Wow.
So I didn't think it was appropriate to say, okay, so when are you opening?
No, I hear you. I was
Yeah.
just was wondering, because I had been given a date of the 20th of
Yeah.
February.
Oh, really? Oh, well, that's gone.
They posted a lot of dates on a lot of things over there and they go.
Yeah, it's very true.
Last week I spoke to an engineer up in Rutland and she'd like to come down and discuss 18 acres that we bought as far as what we want to put up there and stuff. And I told her that there was already surveys done of land and, a lot of work had already been done. And I told her probably the 24th of March might be a good time to come because we would be on the 10th. Give Sean a card to put in the file. I forgot to bring the card tonight. He's well respected and stuff and don't hurt to talk.
So you approached her?
Yeah,
Okay.
This is the one you told me about, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Excellent.
I guess, I mean, I don't know if this is old or new business, but I think I've told most of you that I am not, I have a 1-year term, thank you, and I am not running for reelection. So and it's not really to do with, I mean, I really like the job. I've loved working with you, but I just don't have the time to put into it to the extent that I should. I look at what you all do and I feel myself like I'm far behind. And so I think it makes more sense to have somebody else. So thank you for your for working so well together and with me. I've enjoyed it, but I can't go on. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry to the town. I'm sorry for you
Thank
guys
you for your
too.
time.
Thank you so
it was a great
much.
year,
It's been an
that's for
honor.
sure.
Yes.
Now, the other thing, when you leave, you have to find a replacement.
Yeah, I suggested 5 or 6, 10 people to Jim. And are any of them saying yes yet?
I've only called one of them.
Oh, okay, well, there you go.
To be candid, yeah.
That just took the air out of the room.
Well, thank you very much. I realize I'm speaking out of turn, but thank you for your time and your energy. It's been a pleasure to work with you. And honestly, I think you all have been one of the most cohesive and best groups that I've had the pleasure of working with. So thank you.
That's so nice.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying that, Kim.
I really do. You guys are great.
So how does this work, just from my knowledge? So now there's going to be an opening, is that, oh, that's already listed, right? Okay, never mind, I answered the question, it's already listed there, that there's 2 openings.
And Wayne usually asks, people who are nominated to stand up and give us
I
a
remember that.
short presentation. All right, so I guess we're on to number 13.
Yeah, so I will move that we go into executive session under 1 VSA section 313A1A for to discuss a confidential attorney-client communication made for the purpose of providing legal advice.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna recuse myself.
Yeah.
Does she need to even stay in the building?
No, I think everybody can go home now. We'll shut off.